You are not dreaming big enough. If there's anything in your life that's not manifesting, you're the problem and you're the reason why it's not happening. And let me tell you why. Whenever you set goals for yourself, let me ask you this question. Do you set realistic goals? Do you set realistic manifestations because you're like, okay, I don't want to like get frustrated. So instead of manifesting that I'm going to make like, I don't know, let's say 50K a month, I'm just going to manifest 5K a month because I feel like that's more realistic and that's something that I can aim to. There's this quote that probably like you've heard sometime before that says like, if you shoot for the moon, you will end up on the stars or something like that. And that's the reason why you need to set unrealistic goals for yourself or unrealistic manifestations. Because let me tell you something. I've done both things. There's been times where I've been like more realistic because I've been surrounded by more realistic people. And there's been times where I've been like delusional and I've been like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to ask for everything that I want and let's just let it happen. And if it has to happen, it will. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And I've realized that I've manifested way more shit whenever I've been delusional than when I've been realistic. Because I think that when you set your goals, for example, in 2023, like before the year ended, well, 2022 ended and this year started, I told people on TikTok, like, hey, set up a list of like 23 things that you want to manifest, attract, have as a goal or something for this year. And I remember that I was like, you know what, this time I'm not going to be realistic with my goals because I feel like I've done that in the past. And my last year was kind of like not really a good year and I didn't really manifest that much. This year I was delusional. I said like crazy things for myself and I told people to do the same thing. And things have already been manifesting in a crazy way. And it's only like the end of January, well, beginning of February now. But I've realized that if you set like, let's say 10 goals and 10 goals in each list, and one of them is like realistic things, and the other one is like unrealistic and delusional, you're gonna end up getting maybe something in between these two things, but it's always gonna be better than if you only set realistic goals. Let me, like an example. You know when you're negotiating for a job, and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to ask for like 2K a month because that makes sense. Or you know that what they offer you, or maybe that what they say to you is like, oh, we're going to offer you, or we can offer you like 2K a month or like 1.5K a month. A friend of mine always told me like, whenever you negotiate, you always have to ask, like, I think she said 30 or 20% more of what you would ask, because you never know what's going to happen. And I remember that I've seen this with like manifestations, with like goal setting and with jobs, where like I would say like, okay, I'm going to ask for 2K, but then I'm like, okay, no, you know what? I'm just going to ask for I don't know, the 20% of that. Let's say 2.4K to make it like something like that. I would ask for 2.4K and they would be like, oh, maybe that's a little bit too much, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give you 2.2. They're giving you 2.2, which means like if you would have aimed for 2, you would have stayed at 2, or maybe you would have even gotten less because they would have negotiated under. You know where I'm going with this? So, and you're now getting 2.2, which is like a bit more of what you already wanted because you allowed yourself to ask for more. And I feel like that's the way the universe works at the end of the day. It's like you need to ask for crazy. Because at the end of the day, if you have something in your mind that you really want, even if it sounds crazy, even if it sounds like something that's not achievable, you're the only one telling yourself that it's not achievable. And the moment you don't allow yourself to set that goal for you, you are telling yourself that it's not achievable, you know? And dreaming is free. It's literally free. So like, why wouldn't you dream? And a lot of people are like, no, but I'm gonna get frustrated and I don't wanna get frustrated. Dude, like every time my year ends, I don't remember the goals that I set at the beginning of the year. So I couldn't care less if I never find that list again and I never check what I manifested and what I didn't. But I do know that the years that I've been like, okay, let me just ask for crazy. And there was this one year, 2017, that was a year of crazy for me, where I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to manifest everything. And I asked to be outside of my home, like traveling for like at least 6 months of the year. I asked to go on different trips. I asked to move to Los Angeles. I asked for a lot of crazy different things. And funnily enough, I spent more than 6 months outside of my house, even though I had a full-time job that only had like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of vacation, because I literally like worked at that job for a bit, had a few weeks of vacation, then I changed jobs, I got another few weeks, and then I got fired, I got unemployed, and then I was able to travel, and then I moved to LA. Everything just happened. And it was not in my plan. I didn't have any contacts to move to LA at the beginning of the year, and I somehow made them. And everything just happened so organically. But just because I allowed myself to dream big. And I know this sounds like the most simple thing ever, but allowing yourself to dream big is the first step. And I feel like a lot of people kind of like already get stuck up in there because they're like, oh no, but I need to be realistic because I don't want to get frustrated and I don't want to not be able to like achieve these things. I know that you don't know how they're gonna happen, and that's not your thing to solve. That's the universe's problem. Like, you just need to sit with yourself and be like, you know what? I am going to allow myself to just dream like a crazy person. And I have a little story time for you from a friend of mine. I actually know this guy from TikTok and we became friends in real life after, but I shared this with people who were like, set 23 things that you want to manifest in 2023, but like with like no limitations. Like, limitations don't exist. Your 3D does not tell you what you can or cannot do, because I feel like at the end of the day, when you let limitations around you decide or control what you're manifesting, you are already doing it wrong, you know, because in the 5D everything is possible, you know. So if you're being realistic, you are accepting your current reality, and you should never do that. Like, if you're accepting your current reality, you're accepting that nothing is ever going to change, and you don't want that. So what happened with my friend is like, he does not believe in law of attraction or any of those things, but he does believe in kind of like my self-development advice and all of these things. So when I told people to make this list on TikTok, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this just to dream, you know, like dreaming is free, so like why not? And he did that at the like end of the year, December 2022. He messages me 2 weeks later and he's like, Ada, you're gonna start making me feel crazy because I'm actually starting to think that manifesting is real. And I was like, I knew I could break him. I can break anybody. No, I'm sorry. I'm joking, but he said that like he's been playing the piano for forever, and he plays really well, but he's obviously like at that level where he's still not ready to play certain Chopin and like more professional pieces. And one of the things that he said for himself at 2023, he was like, oh, I'm going to be playing Chopin this year because it's like, it's unattainable in a year. Like he said it is unattainable in a year. That's what he said to himself. And then he put that in his goal list. And apparently he had a very shitty piano professor at that time. And he was like, I'm going to change it because it's a new year. Let's just change piano professors. And he changed her professor to a new guy or girl. I don't remember if it was a guy or a girl. And he was like, okay, what should we start with? I've been practicing this piece. Let's just start with this. And the piano professor looked at him and he was like, no, I think you're ready for some Chopin. And he just looked at him being like, what the fuck? Like, this was on my list. And he was like, I did not think that I was ready for this. And I think most of the time it's like, we also think that we're not ready for certain things when that couldn't be farther from the truth, that we are actually ready to be making more money, to be with the person that we want to be, to have the money to buy a house, to attract the opportunities, to make money, to do whatever, to leave our house and travel the world, whatever it is for you. I feel like most of the time, we just, like as humans, we just are so stuck in our old ways or in our ways of like, oh, this is how reality works. Everyone works a 9 to 5. Everything is like this, this, and this. And it's just not like that. And it doesn't have to be like that. But I think that when it is so ingrained in your brain that the world works in this way, you end up believing this and you end up not allowing yourself to dream big. At the end of the day, there's people who are like, oh, I'm 60 and I always wanted to be an actress, but that's just not possible for me anymore. You are telling yourself that it's not possible for you anymore when like there's this Spanish director that maybe you've heard of who's called Almodóvar. He's the kind of guy who would always like discover elder ladies at the supermarket, like at random towns in Spain. Like he would discover random old ladies in the supermarket and be like, I want you for my movie. So it honestly, and that can happen to you. And I feel like people think like, oh no, but that's the exception. If you're telling yourself that's the exception, that's what you're manifesting, right? So you cannot tell yourself like, oh, that's the exception and I would never be chosen for something like this because that would never happen to me. You are telling that this is not going to happen to you, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's like, I know it's hard to kind of keep that, I don't want to say youthful, but that kind of like Peter Pan faith in magic, to be like, I believe that everything is possible, that childlike thing. Because I know that if you look at like a small little child and you ask him like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Children will be like telling you the weirdest things, and people will be like, oh, I want to be a mermaid and I want to do this and I want to do that. And you can tell a child like, girl, mermaids don't exist. do you think she'll care? She's gonna be like, I don't care. I'm gonna be a mermaid. Like, I don't fucking care. And maybe she ends up becoming like one of those real life mermaids that works in an aquarium or something, and she actually makes that dream come true. But I feel like over time, when we get older, at least in Spain, because I feel like in Spain this is especially prevalent, we have this type of like societal thinking that's very like, no, this is not realistic, this is crazy, this is this, and you're kind of seen like a crazy person and like a delusional person if you start saying things like this. And I've always been that friend that's always like, no, but you can do this, or like, I'm gonna be a millionaire, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and people look at me like, sure Ada, sure, and they think that I'm crazy. But I also know that being that crazy friend has also made that certain people, maybe they never said it out loud at the beginning, but they were inspired because I was thinking like crazy, and they started to allow themselves to think like crazy, and then they started to manifest things and be like, oh my god, I think this girl's onto something. So I think allowing yourself to be this crazy delusional person is not only a thing for yourself, but the moment you allow yourself to think big and to just like not be realistic and be like everything is possible and adopt that kind of mentality, you also allow everyone else around you to do the same thing. Because my parents, for example, are good. They are a good example for this. Because I keep on telling them like, I'm gonna be a millionaire, and they're like, yeah, you've been saying that for 10 years, and I'm like, I don't care, it might take 20 more, I don't fucking care, but I know that I'm gonna make it happen at some point. But I think that if you don't allow yourself to dream, and you don't allow yourself to like have the dreams that you want to have, you're never gonna even try to get there. And maybe it takes 10 years, maybe it takes 20 years, maybe it takes forever to go where you want to go and try to accomplish that dream. But I think at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, you're gonna feel better about yourself if you at least tried, you know? Like, if you want to become a singer, if you want to become an actress, if you want to open your business with cupcakes, I don't know, whatever it is, you're never gonna know until you try and try and try and try and try. But I think it all starts with yourself allowing to try, because if you don't even set that goal for yourself, if you don't even set that manifestation for yourself, you're never gonna know if it would have worked out or if it didn't, you know. And maybe the universe is gonna, not maybe, the universe is gonna help you in the process, but you need to allow it to help you. But it's like when you expect your partner to know that you want flowers and you never tell them you want flowers, and then your partner never gets you flowers. You can be like, well, guys know that girls like flowers, but not every girl is the same, or not every guy is the same. So if you tell your boyfriend, hey, by the way, I like flowers, or these are my favorite flowers, it can give you flowers, but maybe not the kind that you like, because you never told him the ones that you like. So it works the same way. If you don't allow yourself to dream, if you don't allow yourself to be delusional and think of the craziest things ever, it's not gonna happen. So allow yourself to do that. If you wanna share like one of your dreams, all of your dreams, whatever, in the comment sections, I would love for you to do that and read them and exchange them and whatever. And if you end up manifesting like half of it, or like one of the 10, maybe that one of the 10 wasn't even on your realistic list and you would have never even made it happen. You know what I mean? So just allow yourself to dream big. I hope you liked this week's video, and I hope that you continue to dream big, and I will see you guys next week.